How often can you have a treat? Now, I believe this is a dilemma that recreational athletes encounter on a relatively frequent basis. On one hand, we're committed to our sport, and we know that that means that we've got to put in the effort, not only with regard to the time spent in training, but also with regards to our diet and nutrition. We know that we've got to fuel ourselves with the very best of foods and keep our bodies in an optimum condition so that by the time competition day rolls around, we are able to perform at the very best of our abilities. But on the other hand, we also want to live life and experience all that life has to offer, which naturally from time to time involves indulging in a pleasure of a culinary nature. Now this in turn creates a conflict because we've got this need to keep our diets as healthy as possible so that we can improve at our sport, but also on the other hand we want to eat these things that aren't so healthy for us in order to meet our need for variety and pleasure. So in order to help you overcome this conflict and determine whether indulging in a treat is appropriate for you in any given moment or not, I've come up with a list of 3 questions for you to ask yourself. So, question number 1 is, what is the treat? Are we talking about a small square of chocolate, or are we talking about an engorgement at an all-you-can-eat buffet? Now, what this question is trying to tease out of you is, what is the damage of you indulging in that treat going to be? So in the example of the small square of chocolate, if that is encompassed by an otherwise incredibly healthy diet, then the consequences of that are going to be relatively insignificant. However, regardless of what you eat surrounding the engorgement at the all-you-can-eat buffet, the consequences of that are going to be pretty significant. And therefore, with that engorgement at the all-you-can-eat buffet, we've got to seriously consider the timing of that, or whether it is even appropriate for us at all. Therefore, question number 1 to ask yourself is, what is the treat / what is the damage of you indulging in that treat going to be? So, question number 2 is, by indulging in said treat, by the end of the day, will I have been able to take on board all the nutrients that I need in order to remain healthy? So again, here, going back to the example of the small square of chocolate, around that small square of chocolate, it is relatively easy to fit in foods that still enable you to get all of the good stuff that you need on a daily basis. But on the other hand, with the engorgement at the all-you-can-eat buffet, unless that engorgement includes all of your dietary needs for that day, then indulging in that treat is going to make it difficult for you to otherwise get all those vital nutrients that you need to remain healthy. And therefore, again, this helps us to determine the frequency of when to indulge in said treat. If we can remain in that framework and by indulging in that treat still get everything we need, then again we can indulge in it more frequently. Whereas if it's going to completely blow things out of the water, then again we've got to seriously consider the timing of it, as well as whether it is appropriate at all for us. So, question number 2 is, by indulging in the treat, by the end of the day, will you still be able to get on board everything you need to keep your diet healthy? So, finally, question number 3 is, what is your goal? So if you've got a relatively moderate sporting goal, then naturally that gives you more way to indulge because you've got more opportunity to course correct. You haven't got you haven't got a great deal of constraint surrounding you. Therefore, by indulging in this treat, even the massive engorgement, you still have time to course correct and get things back on track to you going on to achieve your goal. But on the other hand, if you're going, say, using the other extreme, going for Olympic gold, then you've got a really tight regimen that you need to stick within, and therefore blowing things out of the water might just derail you entirely from achieving that goal. And therefore you seriously need to consider whether it is even appropriate at all. So question number 3 is, what is your goal? Are you still able to achieve your goal by indulging in that treat or not? So there you have it. Those are the 3 questions. Question number 1, what is the treat / what is the damage of you indulging in that treat going to be? Question number 2 is, by indulging in that treat, by the end of the day, are you still able to get on board everything you need so that your diet remains healthy? And number 3, what is your goal? By indulging in this treat, are you still able to stay on track towards your goal, or is it going to derail you from that goal completely? Hey guys, it's David. Did you enjoy today's video? If you did, please may I ask of you 3 favours. The first is to like today's video. This really helps me to understand whether you've enjoyed it or taken something away from it, and therefore should produce more content just like it. The second is to subscribe to my channel if you're on YouTube, and like/follow my page if you're on Facebook. This means that you'll be the first to receive any new content that I produce. Finally, please share this video with your family and friends, especially if you found it helpful. This really helps me to get my message out there in front of many people as possible, and therefore I'd greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, thank you for watching today's video, and I invite you to stick around to check out some more.